You can have strong ads, great products, and even decent revenue and still be stuck. So in this video, I'll show you how to spot quiet issues that silently kill growth and how to fix them fast. Most e-commerce brands aren't short on effort, they're short on visibility. Most are invested in paid traffic, content, email, all the usual pieces, but very few have a clear, consolidated view of what's actually working, and more importantly, what's quietly dragging performance down. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a full growth opportunity assessment, the same process I use to identify hidden efficiencies across acquisition, margin, retention, and attribution. We'll cover the key KPIs that actually matter, how to spot false positives in ROAS, what most brands miss when they're tracking profitability, and how to assess whether your store is built for sustainable growth or just surface level performance. If you're running an e-commerce brand and want sharper decision making, this will give you a clearer picture than most agencies ever will. So starting off with the problem with ROAS. Most brands use ROAS as their North Star, but in reality, ROAS can lie. You can have a 3x ROAS and still lose money if your margin structure is weak or your costs aren't fully tracked. ROAS doesn't actually tell you if you're profitable, just how much revenue came in relative to your ad spend. It ignores product costs, shipping fees, 3PL fees, all the stuff that actually decides if you're in the red or not. And ROAS isn't dynamic, so it doesn't track variable costs like shipping by region, different product variants with different margins, discounts, operational fees, everything that actually matters to your bottom line. So while it looks clean, it ignores everything that makes a difference between profit and loss, and attribution makes it even messier. One platform might over-report conversions, another might miss them completely. So if you're relying on those numbers in isolation, you're making high-stake decisions based on flawed data. So this is where contribution margin gives you a clearer picture. Contribution margin is what's left after you subtract direct costs like product, shipping, packaging, payment fees, 3PL fees. Is what you actually keep per order before overheads like salaries, rents, or softwares. Let's say you sell a product for £50, your direct costs, product, shipping, packaging, payment fees, 3PL fees, as I say, all of the fees that associate around an order come to £30. Now that leaves you with a profit before CAC of £20. Now, if you're spending £15 to acquire that customer, you've got a £5 contribution margin, which is your profit before fixed costs. But if your CAC is 25 or 30, you're losing money on every order, even if the ROAS is strong in any scenario. So instead of just asking what is my ROAS, you need to ask how much profit is left after each sale, and is my CAC chewing through it? And that brings us up to the bigger question, even if you're profitable in the first order, does your business model support that? Let's talk about first order profitability, lifetime value, and how to figure if you're scaling a healthy engine or just digging a deeper hole. So first order profitability versus lifetime value. One of the first questions I ask when assessing a brand is, do we need to be profitable in the first order, or can we afford not to be? If you've got a strong retention and a healthy repeat customer rate, or customers come back quickly, then sure, you might be able to run at break even or maybe even a slight loss up front. That decision should tie directly into your North Star goal. So what is the ultimate goal for driving your growth strategy? Is your priority rapid market share? Maybe you're well funded or you're in a category aggressively, then it's okay to sacrifice first order profit in favour of back end LTV for faster growth. But if you're bootstrapped, managing cash carefully, or still validating your offer, front end profitability needs to be a non-negotiable. So here's a quick example: a fashion brand selling essential products or a supplement brand offering a subscription. They might see customers return every few weeks. In that case, being slightly unprofitable on the first order can work because lifetime value builds quickly. But if you're selling a one-off product like a mattress, a sauna, or a standing desk, you don't have that luxury, unfortunately. So you need to make money on the first transaction because you're not as likely to get a second one, and you can predict that or forecast with that data effectively. This is where CAC to LTV ratio becomes critical. If your customer acquisition cost is £30 and your lifetime value is 90, and when I say lifetime value, I mean profit, you've got room to scale. If your CAC is 30 and your lifetime value is 35, there's absolutely no margin for error. So what you need to know is, how much profit, if any, do I make on the first order? How quickly do my customers come back and spend again? And does that timeline align with my cash flow and long-term goals? If you don't have those answers, you're not scaling with absolute confidence, and in paid media, guessing is very expensive. But profitability isn't just about cost, it's about leakage. So even if your unit economics are solid, if people are dropping off before they convert, you're still bleeding efficiency. So the next thing I look at the customer journey, because sometimes the biggest issue isn't your offer, your margins, or your CAC, it's how people experience your site from the moment they land, which leads us into the next section, the customer journey breakdown. After looking at your margins and your acquisition costs, the next place I like to go is the customer journey through analytics and then supported by behavioral tools like Hotjar, because a lot of brands assume the funnel is working just because traffic is coming in. But the moment you start to break it down by stage, I almost always find clear friction points that are quietly killing conversions. So let's walk through it stage by stage. Landing page drop-offs, aka high bounce rate normally. If people are bouncing within the first 10 seconds, there's something immediately off. This usually comes down to your page speed, a mismatch between your ad and your landing page, and no clear direction if they're potentially getting buying paralysis as well. So too many products, not a clear enough path to check out on the one that they have chosen, or potentially click through via your ad. So common fixes for that could be just check your load times using either page speed insights or GT metrics. You should be aiming for around a 2 to 3 second load time for your initial load on the first page that they land on. Send traffic to a dedicated product or offer pages, never home pages. So we want the direct option. If they're wanting to buy a product, we want to send them to that product. If it's a collection, we need to have a nice target collection for that set of potential products that they might have clicked through for that ad. Use strong hero sections with fast value delivery, so headline, image, call to action above the fold. The next section within the customer journey is the product page view but no add to cart. So they've reached the product page but they haven't yet taken an add to cart. So the add to cart take rate, which is commonly referred to. This is usually caused by either not enough product education, lack of trust, so no UGC, no reviews, no badges, anything like that. Price friction, so essentially the value of what you're selling doesn't align with how well you've sold it, essentially, or the value of the product itself, which isn't normally the case, as usually brand owners have already identified something unique and that's why they've kind of built the brand. Too many options, again, that's just buying paralysis that is very commonly an issue for many brands that I speak to, because they're sending people to landing pages which don't match the ads. So fixes: use benefit first descriptions, add reviews and frequently asked questions above or near the add to cart button. Test urgency or guarantee badges if you really need to get people over the line and you're maybe not in that luxury positioning. And there are of course many other changes that could potentially increase your add to cart take rate, and I have a video on that already, so feel free to check that out. Next stage within the consumer journey is the add to cart but no checkout start. So this is often a UX or friction issue, but also could be due to other technical factors. So distractions on the cart page, too many cross sales, upsells, bumps, whatever it may be. Unexpected fees, so if they've already added the cart but then they've been hit with a massive fee for shipping, that is a pretty substantial reason that a lot of people bounce from the add to cart. So no urgency or incentive to buy. So what fixes could you do for this? Preload or show shipping thresholds early, use persistent call to ads or slide out carts, and reduce choices so they don't need to have any extra steps. If you're struggling to convert, forget about the cross and upsells for now. The next step in the consumer journey is the checkout starts but no purchase. This usually signals confident issues, so there's no guest checkout. This is a very not common one but extremely impactful one. So if you kind of force the checkout process within your business and people can't just check out as a guest, that I've seen that so many times just absolutely kill the conversion rate on that stage of the process. So make sure that you have a no guest checkout option. Most of you will. Limited payment methods, so you don't have PayPal, Apple Pay, Shop Pay, all the kind of major ways that people like to check out. That will often decrease the amount of people that will reach that purchase step. And lack of trust signals, so they just don't have any trust, or they're maybe not informed of the return policy, all that kind of stuff. There's so many different factors, and I have covered this in another video as well, and I will be covering things like this in many more videos in the future. But of course, if you want a kind of deeper dive on your brand specifically, feel free to reach out. So fixes for this would be enable guest checkout and autofill, offer trusted payment options, always try and cover as many as you can, reinforce trust with badges and clear return policies. So everything I've showed you here can be done with tools you probably already have: Google Analytics, Hotjar, your ad accounts, potentially some other third-party platforms that you're using, plus just a bit of structured thinking. But doing this consistently across all your products and all your channels becomes time consuming, and while you can do it manually, the bigger your brand gets, the harder it is to track everything without serious time investment in spreadsheets. So that's why I've partnered with Store Hero. As a Max Out Media client, you get access to automated dashboards to track everything in real time: contribution margin, CAC versus LTV ratio, product level profitability, funnel drop-offs, you name it. And as a result, you'll pretty much get a full P&L analysis without needing to build spreadsheets or stitch together 5 different platforms. So if you'd like to find out more about Store Hero, you can check out their website, or you can just message me and I'll give you a bit of context and see if that would be right for you. It doesn't replace the strategy, it just gives you a sharper, more accurate lens instantly on all of the key metrics that you need times 100. So let's recap what actually matters if you want to grow profitably. Track contribution margin, not just ROAS. Know your CAC to LTV ratio and how it shifts by product. Audit the consumer journey stage by stage. Fix friction before you scale. Speed, trust, UX clarity on the website. Use tools like Google Analytics 4 and Hotjar to guide action, not just monitor data. When growth feels stuck, it's rarely one big issue. It is usually a few quiet ones hiding in plain sight. So just start there. And as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message. If this breakdown helped you see your business more clearly or gave you an idea or two worth acting on, feel free to subscribe, as I'll have plenty more ideas for you in the future. And future videos, I'll be sharing more deep dives like this, strategy led, data backed and built to help you grow with confidence. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.